because we need to get ahead, or are you still you just have to hide from Rengar?
Well, right now it's just if they had something in different mid lane, then it would be different because they could just outcome them, CLG specifically. But right now, it really feels like they need to get ahead. And then when you look at the map, they will not get ahead top lane, right? Nautilus pushes out Shen. Shen wins later, obviously versus tanks, but then early game Nautilus that's his strong part. Rengar will not kill Olaf in the jungle unless he would really like get caught and out of position Medias. And then you look at mid lane. Mid lane is volatile if you gank mid lane properly, but then again you have Rengar who doesn't really gank well pre-6. And then if you gank mid lane, get a kill, that's very snowbally, and then you can transfer that lead into bottom side. So I feel like it's gonna be for CLG heavily focused on snowballing bot lane.
So you're saying, you know, you feel like it's much more on CLG to be the aggressor in this matchup, just not in terms of team comp, how it actually plays, as well as the fact that they're likely to get outscaled. Do you feel at all like, how do you think the matchup between Ashe and Jhin goes, specifically with the supports? Because I know a lot of people think bot lanes are not super AD carry counter pick dependent. It's a lot more about how the supports match up.
I would be very confident playing Ashe Nami in this game because that lane is very strong. It has a very high sustain with Warlords. You have to remember you play with Warlords versus Deathfire Touch on Jhin. He has 3 potions, you have 3 potions, but then you have heals from Nami and heals from the Warlord, so you should always win the lane.
And hey, Arrow's got 4 potions. He went boots for the opening,
yeah,
so he's like super sustain heavy, right? Gonna dodge ganks, gonna be able to dodge skill
like
shots.
This one. I very like this one because I'm not a big fan of boot star on ADC, but versus Soraka it's really good because you need to avoid getting hit by the Qs.
Yeah, dodge Qs and the Jhin Ws.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit before the stream started about how you like boots of swiftness sometimes into Jhin, but you also said this game you like Ninja Tabby into the team comp of CLG. So which one here would you go as we, you know, obviously get a little later into the game?
Ninja Tabby. I would just straight up go Ninja Tabby.
Just negate all that auto attacking coming in from CLG's side.
Okay, talk about how they're running the lane right here, because in solo queue they're not leashing, so how do you get level 2 first without like losing control and shoving under the turret, basically?
Well, it's very hard for Jhin to push out Ashe Nami because Ashe has the volley level 1, which just basically gives the priority on lane. And you have to go as Jhin with lane, because if you try to contest level 1, you will lose, and that's what's happening right now. Stixxay should have not tried to push the level 1 the creeps, because if you do, they have more sustains, they have more range, and they will just outpush you and outpoke you.
You don't mind being close to the turret right now? You're not afraid of getting ganked? It's okay just to get level 2?
And you have double range, you have AD carry and support, so last hitting on the tower should be fairly easily for you, because you have both of you can hit the minion and last hit it together. So like getting pushed in this lane is actually not that bad, because if you gank Ashe Nami, they have no way of running away from the gank.
We also see that Olaf had invaded and stolen away the blue buff, I think, so they feel pretty confident probably to play this aggressive push up on the turret. If your jungler was doing a more normal clear, would you start thinking about having to play a little safer at this point, or do you continue to play this aggressive?
You usually play aggressive till level 3, till like once you get level 3, that's the area where you should start thinking about what is better for you, if you want to let them push or let them like slow push the wave towards you and still control the wave. Because if you're Ashe Nami, you have so much power that you can let enemy Jhin Soraka push to you. And basically bait them to push, and when they push, you freeze the lane sort of. And if they contest every CS, you just both hit them, and you have more sustain, as I mentioned before, so you should always win that. So what P1 should do, they should just hard push this wave, make it bounce from the tower, and then make it push to them, and then that way Stixxay, he wouldn't lose the lane, but he would start getting denied CS a bit.
And we got a gank force on top side. Nothing to do with Arrow, but it is going to be important if Zig's getting behind and Smithy starts getting kills. Makes it worse for Arrow. Yeah, but hey, they burned his flash. They got some damage onto him. And at this point, does it mean that you're safe for bot lane because he's probably going to repeat gank top in the next 4 minutes?
Yeah, every time you see jungler as a bot lane, you should go ham. At that point, if he's on the other side, obviously. If he's bottom side, then you have to run away. But if you see jungler top side, you wanna look for trades, because if you react faster and you trade, basically who hits the first starts winning the trades. And if you react fast, you start trading a lot when you see the jungler. Then, and let's say enemy bot lane doesn't see the jungle, then you're winning the lane, just given the fact that the enemy jungler showed on the map.
Yeah, and so right now, the lane goes back to equal, and Arrow's up 2 CS, right? He's hard pushed 6 in the turret. I mean, props to CLG, they last hit under turret pretty well. You know, 24 is still not too bad of a clip, but plus 2 CS so far from how they played the lane. I do want to point out, Arrow has gone Fervor of Battle. Fervor was buffed in 7.4, Warlords was nerfed, and
That's interesting.
Some of it, he has a Nami, so like he has healing already, but I've seen Fervor just be more effective in general right now.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Fervor with Nami is actually a very good choice because you, or as I mentioned, you have so much sustain, and if you're looking at, like P1 bot lane isn't that aggressive to be using the most out of Warlords, so they just Arrow just opted to Fervor of Battle and more scaling, better late game, mid game, which I like from this adaptation from Arrow. Because as you say, he has 4 potions, boots, Nami heals. There's no way he can lose the lane.
He'll outrun anyone. Of course, he even slows him when he attacks him. So Arrow is just perma-pushing. At this point, they don't have a lot of control over where Smithy is anymore, right? They haven't tracked him other than hoping they know which jungle camp's being taken. There's a ward on Gromp, and they've been using Hawkshot.
This is very good what Adrian did. Usually, the way it's very hard to win bot lanes now unless you have very good counter pick. The way you win bot lanes is that you let your support recall first. If your support recalls first and then just runs mid lane, there's this issue. He should be running mid lane right now, Adrian, and just warding the mid for his mid laner. And that way you transfer the winning bot lane matchup. Like, you're not winning, right? You're 41-40, but you're still winning in pressure because you're pushing, and that way Adrian can roam mid lane, ward up, and gank mid laner, which he's doing right now.
Right, so we're going to see a fight break out in the mid lane, and Meteos going pretty hard into Smithy. Gets the first blood, and here you get to see the extra benefit of having your support there as well. They can basically get a 4v3 here.
Yeah, he would never go this deep if he didn't know that Adrian's coming, and they have bot lane priority.
Suddenly 4 people down there, double kill from Meteos.
And that's just like this little thing from bot lane. When your bot lane is able to push and your support is able to recall first and just do this, that helps your team so much. And you don't usually see that, you know, it's just a mind game for the LCS.
Right, I mean, that was an example where Adrian was mostly coming in there for a little bit of backup at the very end. P1 was probably going to win that situation anyways. But there are a lot of other situations that come up where it's not that close, and having the extra member there early and the summoner spells you can bring with exhaust and things like that coming in as the support can be really huge in those kind of early game skirmishes.
Sure, a flash exhaust to slow someone down, like guarantee the fact that Jace can't get away. And I gotta, I guess, essentially ask / say, you know, Arrow is in a 1v2. Like, Adrian recalls back. Adrian's in a, like, this guy's in a 1v2. Now, thankfully for him, there's a Soraka who's not exactly a lane bully, so he lets the lane get pushed, right?
Yeah, the lane was pushing towards him, so he basically will max lose 1 or 2 melees. He doesn't really lose anything from it. And when now it's a problem, they can freeze with the jungler pressure because they haven't seen the jungle for a while, but they should still be able to push the wave with this big wave, right? That's why I think they should have made the lane reset because they can freeze. CLG bot lane can freeze if they're smart, and they're doing it,
So this means he's going to lose a full wave. He's going to lose the full cannon wave right now to get this recall off. Zerker Greaves, so no Ninja Tabby. Zerker Greaves double longsword.
No
very
Ninja
early
Tabby.
movement speed for Arrow.
No boots of swiftness.
No boots
Freeze
of
isn't happy.
I'm not happy.
So I've seen this a lot from pro, especially Korean players. They rush boots to like all the time from bot lane. I don't like it, but I want to know like your thoughts on it.
So what Koreans think about bot lane is that with the champions you play right now, it's almost ungankable. Olaf, this is what happens when you feed Olaf. He goes over everyone.
Olaf, probably one of the most binary champions in the game. If he gets ahead, he runs at you and kills you. If he gets behind, he runs at you and kills himself.
Yeah. I for example, think that Olaf is a bad champion, but it's just every time he gets ahead, he shouldn't get ahead, okay? Let's leave it at that.
Sure. Okay, so let's talk about the boots choice then.
Yeah.
So you're saying the way they feel about bot laners is...
Yeah, the bot lanes in LCK, they feel like the way you play and the champions you play, you should be nearly ungankable. So if they gank you, you should be able to basically just survive. Olaf.
Well, right.
Yeah.
He gets away!
Let's get back to it. So when you are very ungankable and you get, because they get this build with tier 2 boots, it's so hard for the enemy jungler to gank you and actually do something from you. Imagine if you have no boots compared to 2 boots. You still, this lane is as I said, it's very hard to get ahead in this lane, so it doesn't matter if you get combat stats or if you get more like a survivability stats, which in that case, it's better to get survivability stats, and if they gank you, you just run away.
I think a lot of people in this meta would describe bot lane's role as more about generating pressure and getting push advantages than out-trading and trying to actually all-in, though we do see one
really good arrow.
Yeah, super perfect. He's done, right? Oh, actually, good flash. Gets the hut.
And
nice.
Olaf's coming out.
All right, 2-0.
Oh, there's not.
Nope, Shen not nearly enough. And that feels awful on the side of CLG. A lot of people talk about how important it is to use Shen ultimates reactively here, and you want to combo that with a Rengar ultimate or something, but Rengar's been heavily controlled by Meteos, and the first ultimate is used to try and pick somebody up who's gonna die anyways.
Yeah, so quick gut check. Obviously going for turret's the right call. When do you realize like we can go for first turret gold? Like, what does it take for you to say, stay here, kill the turret with me?
If you see an enemy jungle top side, then you can, and your jungler is bot side, you just say, come bot lane, pressure them off the turret. They can last it those minions that will be on the turret. And if the turret has been low recently, then you can take it. So let's say if it's 50-60%, then you can take it in one go. But if it's full HP, then you know you can't take it and you can't really go for it. So it's given, if you have a pushing matchup like they do, and they're 2 range, they can both hit the turret. That's how you get ahead, you know, like you don't get ahead by denying CS under the tower, you get ahead by getting the tower damage. Because the first brick gives you 650 gold. If you leave it to ADC, that snowballs you heavily.
Do you think there's ever a time to potentially leave the turret up to extend laning phase? I know there's something people used to do more in the past, but with the addition of that first circle like you're talking about, do you ever think it's the right call to potentially leave the turret up?
Not in this meta.
Yeah.
It's if you remember the meta where people
This is the Meteor show. We're talking about bot lane, but it's kind of hard to do that when you got a 4-0.
Yeah, so it's again that Meteos is carrying, but I mean, and you were saying before, right? Like Arrow's job is to not die, it's to be utility for the team. So like
if you played like champions like Blitzcrank, Kalista, Thresh, you know, like Leona, those champions are, you can leave the laning phase or the turret up and you can just make it push towards you and then all in them, push for kills. But as I mentioned, nowadays it's so hard to get 2v2 kills in bottom lane that you play the pressure game basically.
Yeah, and they've got that. So then the question is as well, I've seen so many teams, they will swap out of the bot lane and go top and try to get more turret kills. And in this case, P1's not doing it. Is there a reason for it? Is that a flaw?
I like this one because they have TP advantage on top lane, and they know that if they TP, the Shen can't follow because he has no ult and he has no TP. So if they do, both of them they're dead.
He's dead. He's exhausted. It's not gonna matter.
They chose the very greedy path and they didn't unite with jungler, which was very bad from them. And this is a big throw from them. But they're still in sort of.
Yeah, I mean, Meteos probably not going to be able to get out here. Going to be a 3 for 0 most likely, unless
Adrian's died for free.
Oh. Comes a TP, and it's a little aggressive by CLG, but I think they want more
them,
because
they're running away.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow, that's so many bad plays by P1 right here. They could have left so much sooner. None of this is Arrow's fault, by the way. At this point, that's the rest of P1 inting.
Oh boy, that's a huge throw. I mean, they're still up 2k gold, but Zig getting a lot of cleanup.
Okay. Assassin Nautilus, actually.
Oh, he will kill him.
This is hilarious.
Okay.
Why does Smithy jump in, by the way? Isn't he just safe? Can't Smithy just run away? He just jumps on a Zig and gives a free kill. That's terrible.
That was definitely a big mistake by CLG. I mean, you couldn't get away from the Nautilus because he came in TP from
And then
behind.
again, if you look at the scoreboard, you see 480 carry champs, and there you see replay where they just didn't group with the Arrow and Adrian, didn't went with Olaf. Olaf was farming golems. This is a major mistake by them. They should always wait for each other. It's very important to go together with support AD jungler.
Yeah, so Freak, you had asked about when's the right time to actually start rotating around the map.
Yeah.
A lot of people sometimes make a mistake of, okay, we took bot turret, let's head top right away.
Yeah.
But depending on how the minion wave, you kind of settled it when you finish pushing the turret. A lot of the times, if you bounce it back, it's not best to go top right away because you're basically giving the enemy team a minion wave to trade your bot turret with. So going bottom once again, pushing the wave out one more time before rotating mid is actually right in a lot of situations. And I think P1 was right to do that there. But like Freeze was saying, the problem was the path.
There's a lot of factors. There's dragon factor, depending on what dragon is up, or if the dragon is up. If there's Earth Drake, sometimes Ocean Drake for the comp if you're playing versus comp, obviously Fire Drake, then you will always go bot lane again and push the wave all the way to the second tier to get vision in the blue side area and do the Drake play. If there's no Drake, then you look for top laner, right? If you have a carry top laner and they have a tank top laner, you never want to swap AD carry support versus a tank top laner when you have carry top laner. You want to keep the extended laning phase for your carry top laner so he farms.
Yeah. You don't want to FUR 1v2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you got to see here basically they roamed up for the mid lane. You talked about bot lane pressure. They pushed the wave in, then they ran together up the river. They ran together, 4-man stack into the mid lane. It's like, great, we can push the turret down. And I think at this point you just kind of keep watching the minimap to figure out where the bot lane wave is going and make sure you don't lose it to the turret when it does push.
Right, and I think we're talking about, hard to do it versus tank versus carry depending on the matchup. I think another one is mid matchup matters a lot. Like Syndra has a lot of burst potential, so if you can get a good roam off mid and kind of surprise them, Nami's a great champion for this. Just kind of shoot your ultimate from the fog of war. If it lands, you have great follow up with the Syndra. There's a lot of different things to consider about which lane you should send your bot lane later. And looks like sending it mid's working out pretty well for P1 right now.
And this is not even the best play, right, from P1. It's really good play, close to the perfect play, but it doesn't matter. Even if they would be playing right now badly, look at the bot lane. Bot lane is pushing away from CLG. The lane is basically dead for CLG. They can't farm there. They're losing farm, while P1 is farming all 3 lanes, stacking the bottom wave for Nautilus, swapping AD carry and Nami to top lane, take the tower gold. So they're basically, hey, Nautilus, here, you get big ass wave on bot lane, and you can just, bot lane, you can just take this tower, and you get the tower gold.
Zig is a little slow on the play. Actually, Stixay right now is walking to the bot lane and shoving the entire wave in. So it's a giant wave that, I mean, this is like a 2-3 stacked wave that's actually gone now. He
should have been there.
Yeah, P1 was slow to get there. I mean, Zig was fighting and he did a late recall.
Right, it's that kind of situation where you have the play set up so that you would recall Zig earlier, but because of the skirmish that kind of broke out on the top side, he stuck around for support, make sure that they really win that one. And I think you're much happier to grab those kills than necessarily pick up a minion wave or two. And this is kind of the top laner tank life. You're there for your team. You see all those minions dying, you want them, but you don't need them.
I'm very surprised how quickly this game turned. Right, like we're just picking Olaf, taking the kills, and then just snowballing out of control. I was actually expecting that CLG would be ahead early game, and then P1 would be like clawing back into the with the better calm, but it completely opposite.
I think it's you can look at kind of the jungle matchup as maybe one of the few spots that P1 had an advantage in the early game, and they were able to basically snowball the entire game off that fact that Meteos picked up that early double kill, as well as the early roam by Adrian contributing to that, and then they kind of snowballed out like crazy with the invades around the bot side. They redove at 6 because they had the advantage in the bot lane, and P1 kind of smashed after that, mostly off the back of that mid jungle or the jungle skirmish.
Yep. A lot of things what they do after they take all the auto turrets, they swap the AD carry and support mid lane because that's where they have the pressure and the jungler plays around them. They're so ahead that they have the arrow as well to catch up, and then the way they do it, that Syndra stays with them until one side of the map is pushed towards them, and then just the mid laner goes pick up the wave, and then he groups again with Ashe and Nami, and they constantly look for arrows and plays because right now they're super strong.
And I got a little question for you about solo queue, because I feel like this is something that annoys a lot of mid laners when their AD carries win bot lane and they don't quite know what to do, so they just run up mid. And we're talking about how that's a good thing to do, but you need to do it at the right times and stuff like that. So what advice would you give for some of the solo queue players to look out for, and when's the right time to go to certain places on the map?
If I play solo queue, I try to just stay at bottom as much as I can, because if I do something like swapping top lane or swapping mid lane, I put my team into a position they're not familiar with, even though I am, right? I know how to play those, but they are very unfamiliar with it because not many solo queue players know how to do this. And then they basically don't know what to do. They die left and right. So if you're playing solo queue, just try to be out bot lane as much as possible. If you take tower and Drake, then you can look to swap mid lane, take mid tower, but don't try to swap top lane.
But you're basically rotating just to make the play on the turret. You're still, you know, it's like, well, it's shoved out. I've got 30 seconds of alone time. I guess I'll join the Syndra and hope you get some damage out of this.
Yeah, you can steal some farm from mid lane and look to do some play with your support, or you can. Most of the times it's very easy to follow your jungler, because jungler won't normally follow you, so in solo queue just follow your jungler as ADC and support, and that's going to help you a lot.
All right, so into the team fight, basically it's up to Arrow to try to kite back. He does survive the Roshan, and now you're trying to auto-attack as much as you can, right? You just, as long as you're staying out of range of everyone else, mostly melee champions.
Yeah, this looked like almost perfect for CLG, because they managed to almost kill Arrow, but like if they do this, right, and they still can't kill Arrow, it's a bad news for them.
Yeah, I mean, P1 definitely have the kind of just want to group up and siege under a turret comp. CLG has a lot of engage tools. It wasn't the worst engage, but being down, 7,000 gold almost at this point already is pretty brutal.
Minutes.
Yeah, so no surprise there that the engage wasn't enough, despite it being, in an even game state, maybe enough to easily blow up Arrow there.
Unfortunately for us, Arrow's like maybe the least impactful player on his team this game.
Hey!
He landed pretty good arrows, because arrows all turned into kills.
He had 3 out of 4 arrows, and the other one forced Suhi's flash, I believe.
Yeah.
Might have been the Nami tidal wave, but...
Yeah.
Well, in theory, he was everywhere where he needed to be, except the first jungle gang, but in theory, he was part of it again because he was winning lane and he was pushing.
By shoving bot lane, it let the Nami go over, so of course it was still congratulations, Arrow.
Yeah.
Everything that ever happens for P1 is because of Arrow.
It's because of Arrow.
Arrow is beast.
Yeah. So like he gets perfect taunted too, like right onto the leap.
Gets hit by the shock blast as well. I mean, Arrow like I was saying, in a normal team fight, that's probably enough to finish off Arrow, but because your Jace is weaker, your Rengar's weaker, they don't quite combo for as much damage as they should.
Nami exhausted.
Right. I mean, well played by P1 as
Sure.
well.
Yeah, they peeled it right. I mean, they did everything they could have, and it worked out for them. But
Yeah, right now they can just look for making a Baron play, right? They have nothing else to do.
They got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, they
set up for it.
They can set up for it. There's an Infernal coming, but that's like far away. Right now they can either they can push one wave, get a jungle vision in enemy jungle, and start farming enemy jungle camps. That's just the best thing you can do right now when you don't really have objectives to do. The enemy jungle will suffer so much if you just take his camps. It's ridiculous, and you will get so ahead if you're ADC.
Of course, yeah. You get all the farm, feels great. So, trying to live into the jungle right now. We can see that P1 don't have a ton of vision, and you're noticing, by the way, I want to point out that Arrow is almost always near a teammate, right? He's never in a spot where he's gonna get Xmithie ganked. He's following Adrian around, someone else helping him kill the wave away. He's not alone on Ashe, hoping Rengar doesn't see him.
I want to go back a little bit and talk about the initial gank by Xmithie on the top side that burned Zig's flash. While it might seem good on paper, I think there's a lot of times in competitive League of Legends, at least, where you can look at something and say, you know, even though you got something out of it, you didn't get enough. And so do you think it was worth the freedom that it gave P1's bot lane to play aggressive, showing on top side just to get a flash in a tank v tank matchup? Or do you think that was more CLG's bot lane fault for getting beaten that hard kind of?
Yeah, you always have to look at it as a trade-off, right? Because Shen loses to Nautilus early game, so that they basically traded Shen early game, so Shen gets a bit slightly ahead or doesn't lose the early game, while their bot lane loses the early game because they split the map sort of and show the jungler. And then that's really for the team to decide if it's worth for them. You know, if you have a better AD carry player than better top laner player, then it's worth for you to play on bot side. If not, then it's better for you to play top side, and that's like a team strategy. But for me, it's just, I think it was way better for P1 that he ganked top lane, Zig didn't die, and that way Arrow just played so aggressively on the tower, took so much damage, and then they managed to just kill the tower with Olaf.
And at this point, he's just joined the team, be part of the siege. Xmithie got himself killed kind of for free before the fight even started, and Arrow's just there to attack things. He'll regen thanks to the red buff. He doesn't really have any life steal to speak of, so he's kind of sit there waiting for Nami heal. But
it's forever.
Yeah, I mean,
like
he gets Nami heals
versus Disdains, but yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, CLG can't do anything about this. Like, this is a game where your team won, and again, we can recount what Arrow's done, right? Everyone's been in those games where your laners win, and you just need to not feed. You just need to be part of the win. And, I mean, this is one of those games where Arrow, okay, he got the lane pressure, right? He kept pushing. He played around when Xmithie could be ganking. He played safe when Adrian roamed out to get the top lane double kill.
Yep.
And then he landed all his arrows, and he made sure to not be alone so that he didn't die to Xmithie, right? Those are the major points of this game, right?
Arrow is one of the very patient players, and then AD carries, and then LCS is very consistent. He dies the least, I think, out of all the AD carries.
Yeah.
There were
and
some
a ton
games.
of CS still.
Yeah, he gets tons of damage, tons of CS, and dies the least. There was like some win streak they had, like 8 games where he died only once in all those games, which is ridiculous in this meta, right? You're playing versus assassins versus lethality champions. So you can see that how patient he is. That's one of my problems when I play AD carry. I just really want to do something, be part of something, and that I'm out of position, get a caught. So it's very important for you guys, if you play AD carry, to be as patient as you can. Bait the enemy team to hit your teammates. You know, like let's kill my mid laner and then I jump in. That sort of play style you can do.
Speaking about the Ashe pick in particular a little bit, we saw another stat there. It's 4 out of 5 arrows now for Arrow. A lot of people will sometimes do this thing with Ashe where they have this cooldown, they sit on it, and then they say, all right, I'm going to shoot it up mid on a recall. Do you think that's something that's worth going for? Because I've talked to a lot of pro players, a lot of coaches, and they have differing opinions on the usage of Ashe's arrow. It's better to save it should there be an all-in bottom or you need it. Or it's good to shoot mid because you might get yourself a kill and you can snowball off that. How do you personally feel about using Ashe's arrow kind of aggressively like that?
So I actually like sort of spamming, not like spamming on cooldown, but like always when you have a, you know, you say in 20 seconds, I have a arrow, guys, let's set up a vision or look to do something what we can do. Like usually when you set up vision, the enemy team will fight for the vision, and then your opportunity to arrow is very high because it's very easy to hit the arrow inside of the jungle. There's not the narrow spaces where they can't really escape unless they flash. So always looking for arrow plays is really good. It's not good to spam it like on cooldown, but it's not good to sit on it as well. And most of the AD carries that play Ashe, they do the Essence Reaver build. So
Yeah.
you have a very low cooldown arrow, and at that point you should always look to play aggressively, like he does.
There you go. Gets after move. Probably no one to hit right there. And look at that. Tidal actually stopped Xfith from getting in there. And he's just completely safe, right? Rengar didn't get on. He can just auto attack for free on anyone he wants to.
Yeah, at this point
Not
they
even
were
hard
trying
for
to
him.
save the arrow target, but then doesn't matter, you know. You made your pawn as an AD carry Ashe. You already engaged. They tried to help him, and that was their mistake. They just lost. At this point, they can win the team fight, and yeah, well,
They're gonna be able to end the
hurry
game.
you.
Yeah, if Hui walks back in, Ryu gets a Penta for this one. He's got the Quadra already.
Let's go, Penta.
Yeah, they're going for the dive.
Come on, Hui.
No boss.
Hui doesn't want to give it away. Pentas are earned. I can respect that. I can respect that. And now the respawns are in, so it can't be a Penta anyway. GG, 25 minutes. Phoenix1 absolutely smashed this one. And
Yeah.
you know, again, we can recount Arrow's portion of this game, which was early lane pressure. Again, actually did pay off into the double kill in the jungle and Medios
Sort of,
snowball.
sort of.
I mean, it was relevant, right?
yeah.
I think without the Nami, they don't invade. The second
Confident
kill was
boost.
because of the Nami, I think. Like,
yeah. True.
again, Arrow did comparably less than Medios did, but that I think it was still a requirement. It was step A in that plan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the meta that people talk about a lot. And that's actually why some AD carries don't enjoy the meta right
Yep.
now, is because it is so much more about letting
You
other
enable your
people,
teammates.
Yeah, letting your
Right.
teammates do things. So what did Arrow do in that last team fight, right? He shot the arrow to set the fight up, and then he just kited back.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all you need to do on a number of these champions. You know, your Varus, throw that ult out, snipe a Q through, back up, or something like that. So, I mean, he does that stuff extremely well. There's a reason that we consider him the best in the league, though.
He hits a lot of skill shots.
Yeah, he does. I think he was 5 out of 6 that game at that point by the end of it. And that's the thing is I can see the memes right now. Oh, ADC is useless. Oh my gosh, you can't do anything bot lane. But this was a game where the Syndra and the Olaf snowballed really hard, really fast, right? Like, they're ahead. All you have to do is just say, go Olaf, and you win the game for free.
And I think that's something that some players should learn to do is if
Yes.
other people are carrying, you don't
The
need to make a play.
patience.
You need to stop their play. And I think that's something that overall they had done a fairly good job of it as a team. There was that one engaged CLG at bottom and Arrow almost died. And
There's so many pros that have this problem, right? They like their team is doing so well, they're so ahead, and then the AD carry still is like, I need to do something, I need to carry.
Gank
right?
for me. It's like, we have a 7-0 Poppy top lane. Gank for me.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
It was the same when I was on H2K. I was used to carrying a lot, and then for some reason, like my team was carrying me every game, right? I was like, I felt so
Odwan
bad.
was smashing everyone every
Yeah,
game.
I wasn't able to carry them, so I felt bad, and I started doing like these dumb mistakes where I was overforcing
So you
everything.
wanted Limelight.
And because I wanted, I was the spotlight. Like, give me the spotlight.
Yes, of
you know,
course.
the AD carry, please. And that didn't work. So you really have to learn patience and learn how to get carried.
Yeah, and of course you did pretty well. So let's refocus the decision. Was there much Ziggs could have done in this game? I think the matchup maybe is a bit weaker. Ashe seemed to outlane Jhin. You said Ashe is supposed to win the lane every time. So really quick hit, what could Ziggs do differently? If he could have.
That one is hard. They should like play a different champion, maybe like all-in champions if they really want to win the lane. But it wasn't really their part to lose the game, right? It was more like mid jungle just get rolled over and they can really do anything. But like if they would see that, if they would knew that that's gonna happen, or if they knew that that's the weak part of the team, they should be playing, let's say, Thresh versus Nami. It's a hard matchup. They will most likely get pushed in, lose again, but then you can coordinate with your jungle. Hey, come here. We have a Lantern gank level 3. We will flash onto them, and then they can try to kill.
Okay, well, we'll hear more about this matchup in the next one. But for now, let's talk over to the analyst desk, get a little breakdown of the game overall.